hell. See how Dustin. Just looking forward to seeing how Dustin continues on in this campaign alone after we all die. Not necessarily to Haruman, but to the boss that I'm sure is coming after Haruman.
Oh, man. If there's a boss afterwards, that's because he's trying to kill us. I have one hit point total. That's it.
Yeah, I really want to end the game, but I don't want to puss out on it, so I have to kill everybody.
You gotta do what you gotta do,
All right, welcome everybody. Session 66 of Descent into Fernia. Who would like to give the recap?
I started out charmed by Lilith, and so I was attacking the rest of the party. Eventually, the charm was broken, which was a minor miracle because my wisdom score is pretty low. And then we did defeat Lilith. I don't remember that much of the details other than just beating on her until she was dead. And then Haruman broke through the wall.
It was mostly her beating on us, but yeah.
Right. A lot of us took our potions of excellence. Certainly my character did. Takash does not have a potion of excellence.
I don't know what that is.
Right. I think one was like thrown in his direction, maybe. I may be misremembering that.
Yes, he has one. I gave him one.
Right. So you were thrown a potion of excellence, but you don't actually know what it is.
Yeah.
And after we defeated Lilith and we were basically going to go take the crown off her head, Haruman broke through the wall and basically has come to kill us. Probably has just come for the crown, but will just kill us for funsies while he's here.
It should be known that because these potions are like they're soda bottles, right?
Yes.
So like my guy is way too dumb. He's never seen this before. He's like, what is this? Do I shake it? Shake it, it fucking explodes.
Right. Then it's half of it spills all over you and it's only worth a short rest.
It was just thrown to me too, so
So Haruman broke through the walls of the scab to enter into this area wielding his massive club, and his minions began flooding in as well, which Frank, I don't remember if this was in my last Eberron game, McCormick's Folly, but I definitely included it in past games that Frank has participated in. So these creatures also begin pouring in through the walls. Oh shit, I didn't put the picture in. Okay, let me
you could just tell him what it is. He'll know. Surely he knows.
I have an idea. I have a strong sneaking suspicion.
They're swarming all over the fucking place, man. Oh, not these.
Yep.
So, it seems like a dozen or more begin crawling through the rubble and running at you from all directions. They're probably no bigger than 3 feet tall, and they move with in a way that seems to defy physics. It's almost their movements are too fluid, as if they're made out of some kind of liquid or ooze,
or ink, maybe.
Perhaps. The substance looks fairly similar to the demon ichor that was surrounding the coin that Lux was immersed in. So So yeah, Haruman flies in and he lands and he begins walking towards the group. He puts his massive hammer away for now. And he says to everybody, sorry, 1 second.
Did we like leave combat rounds or are we still in?
We're
'Cause the only reason I
Yet
bring it up because
yet to
I'm
be
invisible.
okay, so you're still invisible. Haruman has, if
Pretty sure you can see me. That's fine.
if
but I'm
he's
just,
noticed
yeah.
you, he doesn't make it an issue of it. And he looks about and he says, so we meet again.
And who are you?
I'm like, I don't know you.
Ah,
I don't know you, but god damn it, I'll fight you if I need to.
there are new members in this group. Interesting. I wasn't expecting that. But still, this needn't end in a bloodbath. It is not your time yet. Allow me to take this crown and leave this place, and you will remain with your lives. Otherwise, I will have to put you down, and it will not be pleasant.
Not pleasant for who?
Oh, I will take great joy in the combat. You see, I live for the thrill
Well,
of combat, the fight, the need to survive. It drives me. There is great honor in combat. And so, you have a choice. Let me take the crown and leave, or you shall be dealt with.
what are the chances we can convince you not to take it? Huh? What if in a couple of days' time we fight for it, huh? You like combat. I like combat. It's fun. I agree.
This
But
will not be the
clearly I
last.
am not.
This will not be the last time we encounter one another, I'm sure.
Well, where are
It
you
is
going
not...
with it?
Sorry, what's that?
That's it. Well, then where are you going with it?
To take it back to my master.
Master.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or at least the emissary of my master.
Didn't know you had a leash.
Oh yeah, I thought I was going to fight the big dog.
He glares at Lux.
I walk over to Lux and ask, do we need the crown? I mean, this is why we came here, but I've not actually been told what the crown is. Some sort of ritual to contact some other friend of yours? Something about that?
Yeah, I don't think it's that important right now.
Well,
So I'll walk over and get the crown then. Haven't gotten the okay from Lux.
And so you grab the crown and you begin walking over to Haruman to hand it to him, or?
I mean, certainly when I take the crown for a second, I would stare at it and wonder what happens if I just put it on. Does it do anything?
as a player who has put random things on before, I always encourage this. In this world.
I wonder if Tacitus might make an appearance.
That'd be cool. I'd say what's up. He's one of me.
Let's see. just want to roll a die to see whether or not he'll put it on. Basically, it's going to be a wisdom thing because this seems like a bad idea to me as a player. But so like over 10, I'll give it to him. Under 10, I put the crown on. I put the crown on.
Okay.
Do I? Is there like an insight here?
Sure, you can do an insight check.
My passive is a 14. I don't know if that matters to you.
Well, you also have a level of exhaustion.
Oh, that's true. All right, here, hold on. Let me roll it. Insight. Come on, baby. Oh boy, cool.
Yeah, you have no idea what's about to happen. So, branded one.
I'm just like
So as you pick up the crown, you can feel the power emanating from it. You can hear the hum of the magic and feel it, the flux of the magic pass over you. And as you put it on, you feel that intensify, but it doesn't really have any immediate effect that you can be aware of other than the fact that you can sense its power. And you also feel a sort of connection to other places, almost as if there's some like a veil, and beyond that veil, if you could just push past it, you would be able to see perhaps other worlds, other places, experience things through other eyes. But for now, at least, that is out of reach for your character.
I mean, could I spend an action point to teleport away? Because I would totally do that.
No, you would not be able to do that.
a no but. Huh?
So Haruman, you can see, for those watching, there's kind of a ripple in his jaw, which may indicate annoyance, and he just stares at you, branded one, and he says, "Have you finished? Will you hand it over, or
I mean,
will I take
so-
it?"
I would focus in that moment on trying to glean as much information about whatever this is, like whatever sensations I'm getting.
Okay.
But then, and as I do that, I would walk over to where he is, take the crown off right before I hand it to him.
Okay. Do you have any spells, like any divination spells, any things that might help you with the
Oops.
task?
Accident.
No, I don't think so. I don't think I have any divination
Okay.
spells at all prepared.
So you can give
Guess I do have
me,
one. I have
What?
combat clarity, and that's it. So not really.
well, if you were to cast that with an action point, you could modify the spell to understand if maybe the crown has any combat capacities that could be useful. As well as another aspect of combat clarity is it kind of gives you a glimpse into a few moments into the future, which is why it allows you to do better on your attack rolls and things like that. So by using an action point, you could potentially extend that further. You would just need to pass an Arcana check, which I would roll in secret.
Okay, I'll do that. My Arcana is 6.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I should probably load up the older Roll20, get my other screen going. I'm really fucking up at DMing right now.
The worst.
Babies, man. Okay, let me get out of here so that I can get the share screen up. Nope, that's not what I-
Does anyone have anything kind of like tracking, something we can put on it? Like an arcane mark or something?
I do not.
Yeah, I was looking at my hunter's mark and it would not work well enough, but
Well, that's action points are always possible. To change the way that things function.
yeah, that'd be pretty heavily changing it though.
Well, it's meant to help you track a target for 24 hours, right?
Yeah, and it leaves a small it says a trail. So I mean the issue is it says creature, so that would be one change probably.
Well,
But
right, but
my real concern is I am assuming that he is either flying or teleporting or getting out of here way faster than any of us will be able to track him. So I think it would be a moot point for me to do anything like that.
We'll get a
'Cause-
direction.
Yeah, I mean,
so-
I'm unfamiliar with what this crown is and why what we're supposed to do with it. So if it's important, I'm happy to do that, but that I'm unaware of.
That's fair. You probably don't know anything about it. I don't know
Uh,
anything about it.
I don't know anything about this guy, so
Right. I'm in the same boat. I don't know who this guy is. I only know he looks like the guy from Gargoyles, which I assume exists in the show.
And,
And
eventually,
something like it was sort of vaguely mentioned that like there's Lacease, who my character doesn't know, is in Dalcor, and there's like a ritual to contact her, but I'm not sure why. So
right. I mean, the main thing that has that you guys have been driving you to find the crown is that it has been indicated in every single prophecy that you have been given as being a key to defeating Belshalor. And so the branded one, as what does it look like when you cast your spell and adjust it using the action point?
I mean, I imagine there's sort of like a ripple. This is how I sort of imagine the spell looking normally, that there is a ripple of silver around me as it starts to like manipulate time. Not like circular, but sort of like irregular patterns of silver light, almost like little lightning bolts begin to hover and dance around me. And then when I expend the spell, they sort of rush out and disappear.
Okay. So what with the magic of the spell and the action point, there is some information that you're able to glean. You understand that the crown acts as kind of an anchor, a planar anchor. And there is a version of this crown that exists on every single plane of existence. And so it can be used to transport individuals across planes. And it also helps stabilize the connections between planes. And so it makes sense that it would be here in the scab, because this is kind of a nexus point that has bound Fernia with Shavarath. It was unnatural, and so it is kind of what has drawn this Fernia's version of the crown into this place.
Okay.
So
So with that, I would walk over to Haribon and then pluck the crown off my head. And I would, as I hand it over, I would say, assuming your master's Belshalor, this is, I'm told, the key to destroying him. I don't know how to use it, but you can feel its power for yourself.
that's not my place. My place is simply to deliver it to my master and his emissary. And while you understand this is the key to my master's defeat, we understand it to the key for his freedom.
Wouldn't it be
I'm
cooler if you could
simply
just use it to
noting-
kill him?
You could be the master someday. Though it takes ambition, I suppose. And I'll hand it over.
So Haruman takes the crown and he puts it in a pack.
As he's doing that, I want to cast Hunter's Mark on it.
Okay. So you'll need an action point to also
Yeah, I will.
adjust it.
Yep.
So can you cast the Hunter's Mark and
Well, so
maintain invisibility? Or perhaps did you position yourself that even if you were to
where is he right now? I guess.
here, I'll put his token on. Oh, no, not that one. So he is here and he would wait for the branded one to walk the distance. He wouldn't close it at all. So that's where he would be standing.
I don't see anything saying anything about concentration with this. Here's
Well, with your ability Unseen Warrior, it doesn't require concentration. It lasts until the start of your next turn. So you would know that it's a fairly quick invisibility spell meant to help you hide. So I assume that, you know, with that cast, you probably position yourself to be hidden maybe behind a pillar or something. So even if your invisibility were to wear off, it wouldn't really impact anything. So what does it look like when you use the Hunter's Mark ability in this fashion with the action point?
I think
Is there any visible
well
effect?
so well, yeah, the last thing I just want to clarify is just because we changed the rules a little bit, and I want to make sure this is good, is that currently it's Hunter's Mark gets auto cast when I hit with an arrow. Obviously, I'm not going to be shooting the crown. I'm assuming I can still cast it if I want, right?
I mean, yeah, in this fashion with using the
Okay.
action point, that'd be
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. I think to anyone else, I think as soon as the branded one hands it over to him, it looks like almost just like a glint of light just at the tip of one of the points of the crown. And to anyone else, it just looks like it's refracting something from the room. But to me, I noticed that as the glint of Hunter's Mark.
Okay. So Haruman takes the crown. He puts it in a pack, as I said, and he kind of frowns a little. And he says, "I was actually, I was actually hoping that you would provide some resistance, make for some entertainment. A pity,
Yeah.
but probably all for the best. I need to get back to my master and his emissary."
You could blame that one over there. Just pointing to the body of.
Perhaps next time when we meet, we won't be exhausted from multiple prior fights. We can be more entertaining.
I certainly hope so. I would prefer to fight you as a unit when you are fresh. It would be better sport.
As long as your master allows, right?
Haruman growls at you, Lux, and he has fire in his eyes. Quite literally, his eyes begin to burst into flame. Your words really seem to be digging into him, but for the reason that your words seem to affect him so, don't really understand. And he just turns and he flies away. And as he flies, the demon ichor creatures, inkies, if you
There
will,
you go.
they they all kind of form into like drops and fly to him into an open container that he has unstoppered, filling the container and then closing it and putting it on his belt.
I immediately go to the hole that he flew in from and follow as long as I can with just watching, seeing where he goes, following the trail. I'm not actually going to the hole, but just watching.
Yeah, so he flies out into the distance. It you see the general direction that he goes in, and you would guess, well, maybe you wouldn't know, but if you were to relay kind of the direction that he was going, Lux, and maybe the branded one, and certainly Blade, would be able to say that that seems to be in the direction of where Flamekeep Cathedral currently is.
Okay, I definitely point at the direction that he's flying and tell everyone that that's the way I see him going.
So is Blade at 0 HP and dead? What's the deal with Blade?
He is not dead. He is incredibly hurt, but he seems to still be clinging to life.
So I'll cast a Cure Wound spell on him so that he just doesn't slip away accidentally.
Comes back next week. Sorry, your character's dead.
And I just like look at him, I was like, ah, interesting. Good to see that works on them. I'm not sure how you suture up a Warforged.
They have souls. Curative magic works on anything with a soul, as far as I know. And I guess I would turn back to Lilith. Like she's naked, so she's not got like any equipment on her. She might have some jewelry. Throw it in my bag of gems.
Pick her up and shake her.
She does have an armband
I guess that's true.
that is
I
kind of
would,
like a bracelet. It seems to be made of something that kind of shimmers metallically but is completely black.
so I would take that. Figure out if it's magical later. If not, it goes in the bag of that's going to set me up for the rest of my life.
I'm gonna quickly search the whatever was holding her, see if there's, I can't imagine there's anything there, but might as well.
Yeah, I mean the entire creature melted into a
Oh
pool
yeah,
of
you said that.
blood.
Yeah, yeah.
You can search through the liquid, but you don't really find anything except,
I-
know, some semi-gelatinous goop.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think I would be searching through the blood, so.
Uh,
And then ever
there a door?
practical, I would start picking through this giant hole in the wall now. I would also start seeing what was useful on the body of Ewan. I don't really know what he had on him. He mostly fought with his fists and anything you could throw. He certainly got his magic boomerang.
mhm.
Yeah, so the items that he had on his person included the belt of hill giant strength, the
Oh, right.
celestial caltrops. He had a dragon shard of magic weapons +1, which you can attach to any weapon, and it will give it a +1 bonus. I don't know if you kept if he kept his prosthetic arm. He may have, just in case, because it is Fernia.
Yeah, that's
Blade
true.
current-
That's probably expensive. Could sell it. If there's like a Fernia eBay, you could get a lot for that.
Slightly
Or
used.
trade it at Mad Maggie's. I'm sure she'd give us something for that arm.
Or
Um,
it's a backup for Blade just in case he loses one.
Right.
There you go. Blade has the
I mean-
ice chuckers. Oh, sorry, go
Right.
ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, I'm sure if Takash is coming with us, and I don't know why he would, like he just met us. But some obviously Tony gets first dibs at anything that's here if he wants it. But just basically like looking to see him I'll pick up or move around and shake. There might be some loose change somewhere.
You're gonna try and pick up a 200-pound guy? Can you do that?
Ignore that.
200 pounds of pure muscle.
I mean, once we strip all his equipment off him,
That
I have an 11. I have an
that
11
adds-
strength. I could
all the
definitely
equipment. All the equipment adds 89 pounds
right.
on top
So-
of the 200.
I mean, and then I would ask, I don't know if it's even appropriate to bury him in Fernia. And I could see he has this infernal mark on his forehead. So I don't know how he would want his remains to be treated. Lux, are you and he in some sort of
Wait, because you guys got the mark removed in your encounter
okay
with
with the Coatl. You're right.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then also his body kind of withered into dust.
Hmm.
Okay.
So I mean, some of the dust is still there. You could collect that, and it's pretty easy to carry.
Put him in
Ah,
there.
Jesus Christ!
Fuck.
God damn it, Ted Cooper! Fuck!
Sneak attack
No
by the
idea what
cat.
happened. Right.
She just jumped on me and like fucking. God damn it! That is gonna leave the mark. She's been doing
mean-
that lately, and I don't know why.
wants attention. Baby's
Mm.
getting too much attention.
Yeah. So,
I would ask Lux if she knows if he would want anything done with his dust.
I'll take it. I go
So
and
yeah,
pick it up.
I would very carefully pick up all of his stuff like item by item and shake it off to get the dust off of it. Because we don't want that.
All right, there's
yeah,
a club.
I mean,
There's some thieves' tools. There's a Dungeoneer's pack.
it'd
which
be useful if
includes,
we could get a list.
I have a list right here. A backpack,
Yeah.
a crowbar.
The thieves tools
Hold on.
are useless to me, but Blade probably might want them as a backup. I assume he has his own thieves tools, but you know, I've been in games with Mike where like a single lockpick breaks, and then you're spending the rest of the game trying to find a replacement lockpick for that one particular lockpick out of like 20.
So, a couple of other items that, Ewan had were he had the Red Cap's sickle from Mad Maggie's, the periapt of wound closure, the
Oh, I would pocket the periapt. That's a good item.
Yeah, no shit.
He had the Kopeshis from the Shadow Master that you guys fought on the bridge, the silver branding iron, and his boomerang.
And an obsidian steed too.
No, you guys sold that.
Oh, did we? All right. Well then, I'm gonna put a 0 next to that. I don't. I don't remember. Maybe we did. I don't remember.
We have to take the silver branding iron. The red cap sickle, if anybody wants it, I don't know what use that is to us. No use to me. But I don't. Is it magical? At this point, sorting through his stuff, I definitely would use my wand to detect magic. Spend a charge from that and figure out what of his stuff is magical. Like, not saying only the magical stuff is useful, like the thieves' tools we should take, but you know, it would help me sort out, is this a regular sickle or a magical sickle?
The sickle is magical.
So it might be a Lux thing where the Lux might be able to use it as a monk weapon.
It's not a usual sickle. It's far heavier than a typical one, so it actually has the heavy property.
So I don't know if Dakash wants it, but if it's magical, it might be useful. We should probably take it. Maybe we can sell it if nothing else.
The Kopeshis are something that Lux could potentially use since it's a pair, and while they require attunement, you attune to both of them with the single attunement slot. They're treated as short swords. They're considered magical, and you deal a bonus to necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier if you use them. But I will say that most fiends seem to be resistant or immune to necrotic damage from your experiences here in Fernia.
That's a nice looking belt. This was a person, you said?
It was before he's turned to dust.
Well, that's a shame. Friend, I assume. All right, perhaps hope or don't hope. Maybe he's a bad guy. Was he a bad guy at least?
He seemed honorable enough,
Ah, drat.
but I'm sure he would want the group to survive and succeed. If there's items here you would think you can make use of. I mean, you seem to be a physical warrior. This belt made him immensely strong, or in his case, slightly stronger than he was without it.
Right.
It might do the same for you.
I doubt I would know specifically. It technically will do nothing. It'll make my strength go from a 20 to a 21.
You carry like 5 extra pounds with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So yeah, I mean, just in case something tries to magically drain my strength, perhaps this belt can sustain me. Boy, what a dreadful prospect that is. What is this? Branding iron? Well balanced. Uh-huh.
All right, I can't search. I'm looking to see what the branding iron actually does.
That's the one that like removes their their resistances and shit.
Right.
It was the thing that nearly let Ewan beat Haruman in single combat. That and the ability to reduce all the damage, cut it in half.
So I would look at the storm boomerang and ask who wants it. Again, it's not something I would ever use.
I might take it. I need to take a look at the stats, or I'm assuming it's Dex, but I don't really know what a boomerang
I was
is.
using strength, so
Oh, okay.
It's a thrown weapon.
here, let me put this in there. And then the damage. Oh wait, I don't know what the damage actually is because it was a special pugilist weapon for me. I got to use my pugilist damage die.
Right. It's 1d4 bludgeoning damage if you throw it, and if you activate it, it's 2d4 thunder damage.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And anything you
I'll-
hit with it makes a DC 12, has to make a DC 12
Yeah.
con save or be stunned.
Once.
Right, until the end of its next turn.
Oh,
And then
you
once
can do
it's
that
used-
ability once a short rest, yeah.
Right.
I used it as a melee weapon half the time.
Yeah, I would think I might use it in case I run out of arrows, or I don't know, maybe just do some thunder damage. If I'm up that close, there's something going wrong.
I don't think it
then-
matters for you, Frank, or for Melodia, but it does require attunement. Just FYI.
Yeah, I still have 2 open slots.
Okay.
I didn't even know he had celestial caltrops on him.
Yeah, you guys never really use that.
I don't even remember when we got them.
At the same time, we got the branding iron.
Yeah, in that one house that had the, or you guys found a cache of weapons created by specifically to fight demons and fiends. I think while you guys were still in the city of Flamekeep.
So, I mean, I have the stuff now sort of listed on my character sheet just so I can remember that it exists. Except for the ice checkers, because I know Blade has those. Like, if anyone wants the Dragon Shard +1, again, not something I could use anyway.
Yeah,
Can-
I'm good.
Can I put that on my weapon?
Is your weapon already magical?
Yeah,
Then no.
I didn't think so.
But I mean,
I mean-
Ewan used it as like a wrap and attached the wrap, the dragon star to the wrap. Lux could do something similar.
That's what I was gonna say. Even if Lux doesn't use it unarmed, you could attach it to a monk weapon. But probably best to use it unarmed.
Can I make a pendant out of it and put it on Pantone?
Oh, that's an interesting prospect. You could put the belt of giant strength on Pantone.
Collar of giant strength.
I mean, I get, yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't think I could equip him with things, so I never really thought of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But yeah,
What happens if he dies?
I just resummon him. I
Yeah,
mean,
What happens to
I
the
don't know.
belt?
Yeah, I don't know what happens to the belt. That's the thing.
Does-
it would follow Pantone. It wouldn't just like fall, because that would get annoying.
Okay, yeah, because right now his strength is 16. So,
Does Pantone have attunement slots?
Yes.
yeah, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, attune massage. It's always 3. I figure even
Okay.
for animal companions and everything. So, as you guys are going through the equipment and trying to figure out how to best use the things
Well,
that
we haven't
you
even gotten
had.
to the other guys who died. The 3 other things that followed us in here. My character is very,
Archons and-
very mercenary, but they definitely had some stuff on them. I don't know if it's useful stuff.
Yeah,
but
especially that
stuff.
mummy wrapping thing.
So she just after she was killed by the thing and impaled, the wrap all just kind of fell, and the energy within her being just fizzled out. So the only thing that's left of her is the single wrap that she that wound about her entire body.
I don't know if that's magical or not.
It's likely that even if it's you could use it for a magical purpose. And the the other creature, the Bloodstone Sentinel, its body is made of a metal somewhat similar to adamantine. If you had some way of harvesting it, you could perhaps repurpose that, but given the limitations of the equipment and everything, I don't know if that's very feasible. He also has a lot of blood in him, if you wanted to use that for some purpose.
Man, this is if only Dr. Sheep
Really
were
t-
here.
Yeah,
This
really
is
tempting us
just
here.
a smorgasbord of stuff. He particularly liked blood. I mean, actually, this whole room, because like there's a whole pools of blood up near the top of the map. So I don't even know if Dr. Sheep would have fought in the combat because there's so much blood around.
Failed his wisdom save to not be entranced by it.
Right. So I definitely don't have any way to like harvest adamantine off a giant dead golem. And it's way too big to like just carry it around. So that is probably a lost cause. And I don't really have any use for its blood. That would strike me as like blood of Vol kind of stuff, which I would inherently find distasteful.
Mhm.
Oh.
So as you guys are doing all of this, you hear a sound like grinding coming from outside the area where Haruman crashed in. And after a few moments, you see some dust kick up, and your demon grinder begins to trek through the hole. As Trebek seemed to see what was going on and has come in to investigate and hopefully see you guys. So when you guys are visible to him, he emerges from the demon grinder and he says, "Is everybody all right?"
Alas, no. Ewan has died.
By the silver flame. May his light join with the great flame. So he offers what aid that he can and kind of yeah, so if when you guys are ready, the demon grinder is right there. There's no need to try and climb out of the scab.
What's the temperature like here again?
It is very hot. Right
Like-
now, it's probably 120 degrees, 140 degrees,
Got
like a
it.
hot sauna.
Yeah, yeah. With my 1 hit point, I need to get the fuck out of here.
So we're giving the Belt of Hill Giant Strength to Pantone. So I'm going to take that off this list I have. And Frank can record
That-
that.
Yeah, does that go up to 20?
21.
21.
Okay.
We're giving the Dragon Shard to Lux. I think. Right? So I'm taking that off my list. My point. Lux can record it. And the Boomerang, I'm taking off my list because that's going to Melodia. Ewan's Prosthetic Arm is on my list because otherwise I'll forget it exists. But I actually would just store that in the Demon Grinder. Like I wouldn't carry that around with me forever,
Mhm.
having no immediate use for it. The Caltrops and the silver branding iron I would carry around because those might be useful. The Periapt I'm never going to mention again because he's just going to keep it. And the sickles, the sickles and the Kopeshis I'd probably keep on the Demon Grinder too because I would never have a use for it. I don't know if anyone else might, in which case we should probably keep. I'm keeping track of it. I'm just listing it as stored in the Demon Grind.
Ewan had the coin to get back to Master Hawkins
Okay.
as well. I don't know. Takashi has no clue what any of these things do. Was handed a weird bottle that's. Is it a plastic bottle or is it a glass bottle?
Plastic.
Even better, like a plasticized bottle.
Did we
No
ever look
fucking
underneath the
clue.
lids if we won anything?
Yeah, a fighter jet.
Yeah, Harrier.
And if we can get the bottle to Maine, we can get 5 cents, which I'm sure is a lot of money, given that I don't even know where Maine is.
Is there another guy there that's got the shirt that says "Make 7 up yours"?
You haven't seen him if he is around.
Hey.
He may exist.
I always wanted that shirt.
And while my detect magic is active, is that armband that I took from her magical?
Yes.
You will see a couple of magic items on me, I guess.
I mean, presumably your sword.
You don't see the sword.
No?
No,
Oh,
I'm not
just
holding
not
it.
there? Okay.
Yeah, so I would have pulled it out whenever the Haramon came through, but as soon as he came, like he left, I'd have let go, and a hand would have came out of a hole and grabbed it. So I don't carry it on me. The armor is magical. And then I guess I don't know, I guess maybe you would see if you concentrate enough, or if you like pay attention enough, you'll see something magical. One of my eyes is a different color than the other. And it is also appears to be magical.
Akash, you are free to come with us. However, we are traveling into even greater danger than we faced here, I'm sure. You are currently in Fernia, and a great city has been pulled by the devils into this realm, as they attempt to free an ancient, I don't know if he was a demon lord or a devil, but a great fiendish power who wishes to ravage the material world again. We are seeking to stop him. I gather, however, that you are not from our material world and you may wish to get back to your home. I have no idea how to accomplish that from here.
No, I'm from where you got. I know, I'm familiar. I may travel a bit, but I'm here to help. I was sent to help, in fact.
Sent from who?
Not very good with names, I'm afraid. Big dragon guy. He was a big dragon. I don't remember his name. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to point at Pantone, but Pantone's not there. I want to say it pops slottle. It's like as I swallow my own tongue. Does that name
No.
does that sound that ring a bell?
No, he is not your pop.
Okay. Well, it was great to have you here. I don't know if we could have gotten through this without you.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Yeah, I'm
listen,
not sure.
He did, in fact, warn that we were not going to keep that crown.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and
very interesting.
as Takash mentions the dragon, the only one of you that might recognize the dragon as described is Lux.
Right.
Literally the only one. Yeah.
Yeah, Lux has somehow
But-
managed to survive the entire campaign so far, a feat
Right.
nobody else has managed.
Lux runs faster than everybody else.
And she can jump. Let's not forget
She
that.
jumps so far.
The incompetent ones always survive.
But somehow survived being completely swallowed by the demonicker. I never would have had that luxury.
I mean, yeah, not and come back with all your limbs.
Right.
But yeah, since Takasha said he's basically from our world, I would explain that it's Flamekeep. Flamekeep has been pulled into Fernia and is
I don't-
currently just hovering over the plains.
I assume I would have heard that news.
Yeah, you were informed.
Yes, yes, yes. Mighty great deeds must be done. I am here to assist. See, The thing is, we can't win unless it's dramatic. That's just the way it is. Hence why we could not keep the crown.
You have the first part right.
We will get there. Do not worry. Well, perhaps perhaps another group.
Yes, I'll probably
this,
watch you die as well.
It seems the dynamics of this group shift quite a bit. You are the anchor. You are the one that holds whatever's left together.
No, I'm the curse.
You might be cursed. But if, as long as you are cursed, others will not be.
Tell that to Ewan. And Paelius.
Unless they die, I suppose, yes. It's very complicated, I'm sure. I cannot remember this dragon's name. I must immediately pass out. Is
I lead
is that
you-
your vehicle then?
Yes, I lead you to the vehicle.
Yeah, and Trebek
Delightful.
also does his best to like help the group over to the vehicle and everything. You can see that the papers when you enter the vehicle, papers are just scattered throughout, and notes seem to have been written in multiple places all over. Very much a Charlie Day in the mailroom sort of situation. And yeah, Trebek, once everybody's settled in, he says, well, my research with all of these tomes and scrolls and notes seems to have been somewhat fruitful. So after going through this as much as well as I could with this helm, I was able to learn that there is a creature called Sibriax, or Sibriax, and it's a creature that is, from best I can tell, a creation, a kind of docent, that was put together by a collaboration between some demonic overlords, apparently similar to Belshalor. The overlords are Sol Katesh, who's known as the Keeper of Secrets, and Tol Oreshka, the Truth in the Darkness. They were trying to create a creature that would be able to know all and see all. And while the creature is said to be valued for its intellect and knowledge, for the deeply hidden secrets and lore that it has access to, it's also insane. So insane that it can warp the flesh of any creature that it can touch, and in fact, it doesn't really even need to touch it. I guess the notes say that just his thoughts alone can warp the creatures around it and warp the very fabric of space around it. And currently, the Sibriax is being held by a warlord named Zariel, and I guess Zariel had been in communication with the creature that we fought in the Warforged Colossus. And it was trying to barter for the opportunity to speak with the Sibriacs and to be able to glean information from it. Apparently Zariel is open to that sort of thing. Though none of the notes that I can find indicated what the cost of such access would be. So the reason I bring this up is because while it may be a long shot, this creature could give us incredible insights into what is actually going on with Belshalor, what his plans are for Flamekeep Cathedral and Jayla Duran, and it could give us the edge that we might need in fighting them. So it may be the best bet for our next course of action to find it.
I looked at Takash and say, so we were supposed to lose this crown, right? That's what you mentioned?
Well, yes, it is more dramatic that way. Yes.
Okay. If that's who your dragon friends, your unnamed dragon friend said, then I guess that is for a later date.
I don't like the sound of this ability to warp flesh with its thoughts, but
No, definitely not.
Not with this dungeon master.
that's just a saying that Takash has picked up. No one knows the origin.
Whoever's writing this story is a real sicko.
But it does seem like it's our best bet. Maybe it was only in my emails. I was looking to see if there was like a note on what I learned from the book of the Warforged Colossus. Because I'm forgetting what it is we need to like get it working again.
Yeah,
So
it
I've
was in that email. Let me
so
I think it
oh,
also might be in your journal though.
okay. It's-
Yeah, under player specific info.
But perhaps we can get information on what we need to reactivate the Warforged and actually make use of the thing. If that is indeed part of our fate. Takash, it will be very dramatic. It's quite big.
Muted.
Sounds like the right place to go.
All right. So Ewan was the one that was that would drive the demon grinder. Trebek can
we were
certainly do so.
right. We were training Trebek, and then I was the backup driver. So
Yeah, Trebek, seeing the state that you guys are in, I mean, he also seems like he's not really he seemed a little wired from all of the research that he's done. But he's certainly willing to drive the vehicle, considering how all of you look.
I mean, I'm fine because I took my potion not long before the end of the fight. So I'm a little banged up, but Like, I hadn't cast any spells until Paramon showed up.
Just so I know, what is required to drive?
Land vehicle.
Yeah, so
Okay.
proficiency in land vehicles is the easiest way.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing saying that you couldn't drive. I mean, the basic operation of the demon grinder is fairly basic. The checks to pilot become more complicated in combat or in high stress situations like a chase. That's when the proficiency is going to be most necessary.
Okay.
So,
So I would ask Trebek for like a direction because I'm not sure where on the map we're going, but otherwise I'm good to drive.
so,
Oh, I would also share with everyone like what I learned about the crown and its connection to the other planes, a lot of which I'm sure some of them had heard before.
Should
Like
we
it,
take
it being the
a
anchor.
should we take a
Okay.
short rest here before we depart?
I mean, you
Do we
can
ha-
take a short rest on the vehicle.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I don't know how that works when traveling. Like, do we still like automatically or yeah?
I mean, so in my games or in this game in particular, a short rest only takes a minute. Normally it's an hour, but you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
only do twice a day. But like when you're on the demon grinder, I mean, you could take a short rest. You can also just do a long rest too, as long as you're not driving or in the observation seat. Since once again, the vision is limited on the demon grinder for the primary pilot, and so oftentimes it is necessary to have somebody act as lookout in the observation seat.
And the other
That's what Trebek
mechanical
is for.
difficulty is we have to all basically take a short rest at the same time. So I don't mind if people want to take a short rest. It won't do anything for me at my current state. But
mean-
Blade is obviously close to death, and Takash is close to death. Blade is especially close to death because he has no vitality points. He probably needs a long rest to get his vitality points back. Technically, I don't recall that Mike ever said how we get our vitality points back. Maybe they're just gone.
Permanently gone.
So they do refresh on a long rest. So they're gone until you complete a long rest.
Well, that's handy.
And in that regard, I would like to get a long rest because I would like my vitality points back someday.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, same. Along with all my other hit points.
So, you guys, the scab is here. And Trebek is indicating that this is where Sibriax is.
And do we have a vague idea what like the distances of that? Like roughly, is that 50
So-
feet or 10,000 miles?
So the part of the difficulty with navigating Fernia is that the distances are variable. Like the map can provide sort of conceptually the position of things relative to others, but actual travel is not as straightforward. And so the map can give a representation, but it doesn't give the exact parameters. But I mean, one factor is there is the river Styx that is here, which you would need to cross.
I thought that was a road.
Nope.
A nice
river of
paved,
lava.
easy road to drive on.
Nope, it's a river of super heated liquid that somehow boils without boiling away.
Oh, looks like there's a pretty sick ramp up there. Right up there.
Yeah.
That's way out of our way. But yes, we could try to Dukes of Hazard this infernal machine across the river.
That doesn't move that fast.
Only one way to find out.
Or if apparently if we go sufficiently crazy enough, we could warp reality. And it could be a road.
Right, if we Wile E. Coyote our way across.
Just don't look down. That's
I'm on a
how
road.
video or cartoon mechanics work, right?
Yeah.
Just don't I'm on a road.
I'm sure we have some prismatic paint or something. We could just paint over it or something. Well, I mean, for us, do we feel safe enough where we are to maybe try to do a long rest here?
I guess I don't know. It is obviously, if there was no giant hole in the wall, this immense cavern in the scab was probably, ironically, as safe a place as any. But things may come to check out the giant hole in the scab.
Yeah.
Unless it heals over.
And then we have to climb out of here and leave the infernal vehicle behind.
I did leave a hemp rope at the very beginning. It might be worth going back.
Yeah, somebody, yeah. Obviously Ewan had rope.
Yeah, I would rather leave the scab than be stuck in here.
Yeah, I think you're right. I offer to be lookout unless anyone else particularly wants to.
I simply must sleep.
And sorry, I mean lookout as in when you're driving the bubble
Right.
dome thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
periscope, not a bubble dome.
Thank you.
I mean, there's also what's this fucking Trebek, so
Yeah, I guess if somebody wanted to, they could just stand up on the roof of the vehicle as it went around. Although, you know,
awfully hot out there.
yeah. And you never know if it's a Starship Troopers type scenario where like a giant bug just swoops down and takes you off the roof.
That's why the roof is filled with weapons.
All right,
So is Blade walking around or
so
unconscious or what?
he's unconscious.
So we'll have to carry him in.
Yeah.
I could do that. It's fine. I find some place that seems appropriate for Blade's body. I put him there, and then I find a place where I can extend and pass the fuck out.
Right. There's a couch, but for Blade's body, like he's roughly speaking a robot. So I hope you don't like just dump him in the cabinet of evil where we store all our evil stuff. I mean, it's got that like bone staff we got from the Zorn, so it's probably like propped open slightly as the staff extends out of it.
It
So
might
you
be
probably
whispering
wouldn't-
to you while you sleep.
So just as a reminder, there's like many of the seats convert into cots. So there's enough room for everybody to rest comfortably on the trip. So,
I don't take my armor off. Seem like I'm almost like floating in my armor. It's real nice.
What kind of armor do you have?
It's plate, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's some plate armor. The armor itself appeared magical whenever you were detecting.
Hmm. I hope that magic protects you from the heat.
I seemed fairly comfortable.
I mean, was it as hot in the scab since we were bordering that other plane?
it was not. It's probably like just over 100 degrees rather than 140. But once that hole was torn into the scab, it quickly the heat increased.
Was there any effect once he left with the crown? I'm just curious because if that crown was anchoring the sort of connection between the two planes, once it left, I'm not sure how long the scab will remain. And,
Yeah,
you know, could
that's
still
a-
take centuries for it to break down. Like it doesn't have to be quick, but that's part of the reason why I was concerned to get out of the scab is I
Yeah.
don't have any idea what happens.
And then what direction did you say, like vaguely, like he was heading to 10? I see a couple 10s actually.
Yeah,
Uh,
he was headed like north-ish.
Yeah, northish.
get this way.
Okay.
So,
Oh yeah.
who
So I will
or-
say this. So whenever I as I go to lay down, I will like before I like lay all the way back, I'll go like this, and my eyeball will pop out. It's got little legs, and I'll set it down.
Oh, that's unsettling. I'll let you do you.
And I was like tap it. Good night, little buddy. And it just like turns around and looks at you all.
Yeah. Like Brandon one, let's leave. I don't like this
Yeah.
place anymore.
Yeah, if I take a break from driving any point and see the eye, I probably would stop to say, huh, gross, and then go about. But I am driving, so I don't know whether there's a bridge to get across the river. But we're obviously hoping for some sort of bridge or transport. And it's got to exist somewhere. So my
Or-
plan would be just to drive east-ish. Like I guess I don't necessarily know how you determine east in Fernia, but in the
The river.
direction of the in the direction of the river, like the shortest distance to the river, and then just following the river's course south, looking ahead for, you know, some way of crossing. Like we did see like some big iron steamship at one point. So there could be some sort of ferry system, if not a bridge. But that's, you know, what I'm looking for as once we get to the river.
Did you
And
perhaps
hopefully we don't have to go like too far out of our way.
I can't say we, but did they at any point while they were riding on the Coatl see a bridge and recall that?
um,
Sure, I didn't. My perception sucked. And I would have been mostly inside. Like I don't know. I don't know that there's a from the air when you're flying in the Coatl, I don't know that we actually had a great view of the ground. Unless we were like climbing up onto the roof specifically to look down.
yeah, so if anybody was outside of the vehicle while it was being
I-
carried by the
We had to.
Coatl, then what's that?
We had to at one point because we let out the dust devil thingy, the sand thing
Oh
that
yeah.
we trapped in the bag.
And I thought I could be wrong. I thought I remember I had Pantone out there to actually try to communicate with the dragon, and that did not go well. But I could be making that up. I don't really remember that.
Yeah, I agree that we were out there for like brief periods, but I don't think we were like surveying the river
Yeah.
ahead of
Yeah.
us.
For sure. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, so it might just be kind of first goals, get to the river and then figure out from there.
Right. Actually, and then the other thing I would be looking for is signs of basically anyone, because if we could catch a devil, I'm sure the residents of this plane know this place better than we do. So if we could get some minor intimidatable devil or similar creature, maybe we could just torture them into telling us how people generally get across this river.
And I will definitely be keeping an eye out for a place that we can maybe rest for 8 hours and get all of us back up too. I'll be helping the branded one navigate and keeping an eye out for a rocky outcrop or an overhang like we did last time.
Um, go ahead and make me a perception check, Brink. Okay.
I don't know if it's relevant, but I also have
Yeah.
Is this the natural world?
yeah, I'm not, it helped me
Natural
last time.
Melodia.
It helped me last time.
She's been here long enough that this is her natural world.
So that is actually a really good point. So, the branded one, you notice that with Melodia providing guidance on the terrain and what she is seeing from the observation post, you are really making fantastic time. Like, she is managing to catch every potential obstacle and uh and anything that might impede your progress, and she's able to help you navigate around it in a way that is really keeping you going at a pace that you would not have expected previously. And she is able to find what looks like the start of a cave, perhaps. So it's just a huge rock formation that there is what appears to be an entrance to. It's dark, you can't see inside of it. It doesn't appear like there's anything, any creatures in the vicinity that you can see, but that is the first thing that Melodia sees that could be used to perhaps keep the vehicle safe while everybody takes a long rest.
So how deep is this cave? You said it's the beginning of a cave.
Yeah, so it until you actually get close enough to look into the entrance, it's hard to tell exactly how deep it is, but it is a fairly large cavern. You could probably fit 2 demon grinders side by side through the entrance.
So, okay, I'll cautiously drive into the cave. I guess so. There's two ways we could either back into the cave, but there might be something living in the cave. But backing in means we can get out of here more quickly if we need to.
I'm actually unfamiliar with the armaments of the demon. I know there's like turrets on top, but is there any advantage to the front being attacked from the front?
Uh, only that we can see out the front. That's the other
Okay.
difficulty with
Okay.
backing in or out. Is there's no express way to see behind us except the periscope.
And another thing to consider, the back of the vehicle has a wrecking ball, and the front of the vehicle has the chumper.
Well, then perhaps we should. So we could go into the cave. And how high is the entrance to the cave? I guess.
And I guess like yeah.
I mean,
what's-
I'm just saying this because I may be able to wall of stone to at least delay anything trying to come in and eat us. In which
And
case, we would probably want the wrecking ball and back.
and then like also the mouth of the cave. Is it gonna be a pain to reverse out of there in 3-point turn, or is it relatively smooth and we can just floor it and get out?
So once you actually get to the cavern and you're able to see, I mean, it is dark. You would need to create a light source. But just from what you can see, just entering into it, the top of the cave gives just enough clearance where it's the turrets are all, you're able to get it in without damaging the turrets, but not much higher than that. So anybody that would be on the roof would be fairly uncomfortable. They would need to crouch fairly low. And it would make using the weapons on the roof pretty difficult. And it looks like the cave actually proceeds down underground. So the path quickly angles downward.
I don't know.
Well,
What
this
do you
is
think?
probably still as good a place as we're going to find to rest.
Yeah.
There is a risk that there's something deeper in the cave that will come up, but we can fit the vehicle in here. If need be, we can seal off the entrance to the cave. Although for now, I think we can just pull the vehicle in far enough that no one will see it passing by. It would
I
still
agree.
be useful to keep a watch in case something comes from deeper in the cave. But we should be safe enough inside for a while.
With via the periscope, I know you said the ceiling's lower, still able to keep an eye out around, or is it so low that you can't really do that? Okay.
No, it's too low.
It's also dark.
Yeah.
As it's not worth using, like putting up a light and trying to keep the light up outside.
Well, I think this is the best we're going to find.
Well, I will take first watch as I am doing relatively well. I'm still benefiting from the high of that potion.
But the crash.
The crash is when I get to 0 hit points and die instantly.
From the sugar
Well,
rush falls off.
actually the crash, it would have been that, but now I have the parry out. So
You haven't attuned to it yet, though. You said you put it in a bag.
right, that's why it's part of the first watch reason is
Oh, yeah.
spend the first watch and tuning to it.
You sit there, you put the thing on, like over your, and sort of like trying to tune to it. That little eyeball walks over to you and just like looks up at you and just kind of stares at you.
I assume I'm just so we basically nosed into the cave. So I assume I'm just looking out the front, trying to ignore the creepy walking eye.
But you can't. It's on the dashboard looking up at you now. Kurt, roll me a d4.
Doesn't work when you click on the share screen.
Okay. So, and with your watch, how are you going about it? Because you're taking time to attune to the periapt, which is going to divert some of your attention. But given the limited visibility of just being in the front seat, how are you maintaining the watch to prevent from anything coming in from behind, maybe?
So I would have pulled in, like we could basically see how dark the cave is when we're pulling in. So I would have pulled in far enough into the cave that at least I feel pretty confident that anybody who was walking by outside the cave wouldn't just notice us.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is there's no rear window. So the best I can do is kind of look out into the darkness I can't see through. So
Mhm.
already disadvantage if something tries to come at us from the front. So primarily, I assume I am just kind of listening for trouble because I don't expect I'm going to see it before I can hear it. If something starts like, pounding on the shell of the vehicle, though, I will jump into action.
And immediately leave.
Right. I will immediately shout for someone else to figure out what's going on and get the hell up.
Okay. Give me a perception check. Uh,
This is what I'm best at. Wow. For
That's
me,
pretty good,
that's
yeah.
so
I assume I'm at disadvantage because I'm attuning to something and sitting in the dark.
yeah, even with disadvantage, you would notice something. Everybody else is kind of out. And given your injuries, you guys are pretty deep in whatever rest you are taking. But Branded One, I'm sending you a message about what you notice.
Have an eye. I have an
Do you
eye
have a
that's
direct connection to the eye?
yeah, it's like a familiar. So if it senses anything dangerous, I believe it can wake me up.
Yeah, but it's an eye, so
It can see things.
yeah. So that's the issue. Um,
Yeah, yeah. It's not gonna hear shit. That's fine.
Yeah.
Unless you let them. I don't know. It's magic.
Nah,
Magic.
it doesn't make sense for it to hear.
It's magic.
It can only taste.
Yes. It makes perfect sense that your eyeball has legs that can walk around, but ears, it's
Right.
weird.
Okay, so actually what Frank said gave me an interesting idea that actually with its legs,
I'm sorry.
it can taste and it has little hairs on the legs that allow it to hear.
I have hairy eyeballs.
Um,
Like
but
you constantly have this feeling like you've got an eyelash stuck under your eyelid. It's just one of the legs kicking around.
But still the eye is too focused on creeping the Branded One out. Because of course it's Takashi's
brand
eye,
new.
so
It's brand new. Yeah, yeah. It's a brand new thing. He's got to examine it.
so but Kurt, you perceive this.
So I would immediately get up and run back. Takash and Blade, I probably wouldn't rouse at this point, but I definitely would rouse Melodia and Lux and say there's something that seems to be creeping along the side of the vehicle, possibly running a weapon along its skin. I can heard a screech that sounds like some metal rubbing against metal outside.
Can
And
I?
as the branded one brings it to your attention, both of you do hear the noise that the branded one is mentioning. It sounds like something is dragging, or something sharp is being dragged along the outer hull on the side of the demon grinder, going from the back towards the front. So
But
I would-
I would start making my way towards the ladders in the back
mhm.
so that I can get up on the roof.
it's gonna be really cramped up there.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna try to use the weapons though. I want to be able to basically look down on this thing and then you know, I'm mostly a spellcaster, so I would cast spells from the safe relative safety of the roof rather than right next to whatever is grinding its axle on the side of the hull.
So as you do that, it is quite dark, especially towards the front of the demon grinder, as it is deeper in the cave. Uh, go ahead and give me another perception check at disadvantage. Okay. So you do still see something. It's not very clear though what you're seeing, but you see something moving along the side of the demon grinder. And you kind of lose it as it gets closer to the front, where it is darkest.
So you know, I am essentially useless in the dark. No way around that. So I am going to like walk forward and try to cast light on the chomper.
Okay. Um,
I'm.
Oh,
I'm
never
gonna-
mind. The light has I forgot. Light has a range of touch. So I will just cast light on my shield and boldly march forward.
crawl forward.
Crawl forward's fine.
Um,
Then probably even not my shield. I will pull something out of my pocket like a coin and just hold it between my fingers.
okay. So immediately you see a feathered creature with massive claws, and it turns to you and it screeches. "Ah!" I can't do it right now because Reese is sleeping, but
Do it. Wake up the baby. Do it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's worth it.
no, this game would be over tonight.
So is it when you say feathered creature, is it a Vrock? Because we've met them before, or at least one of them.
Has a branded one met Vrock?
Oh, that's a good point. No, he hasn't.
Yeah.
Because I think the last time we saw him was last time we fought Harriman.
So, well, are you trained in religion?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So, as part of you're trained in Arcana, right?
Yeah.
As part of your arcane studies, did it ever include any kind of demonology? Like, is there a basis for the branded one to be likely to be able to identify a fiend?
I mean, Yeah, I'm not sure, so I'm happy to say no.
Okay. I'll give you the check, just, we'll call it at disadvantage,
Okay.
for Arcana. Okay. So you do, it does, it's reminiscent of a couple of different fiendish creatures, but a Vrock is the one that is most likely. And so you see it, it sees you, and it looks as if it is, well, one, surprised, and it kind of crouches back, and seems like it's trying to decide what to do next.
So how far am I away from it?
So the demon grinder, I think, is like 15, 20 feet tall. And then
Oop,
it's
sorry about
probably
it.
like 20 feet away. So probably like with that diagonal, probably like 30 feet maybe.
Okay, so I'm gonna cast an empowered polymorph and turn it into a snail. Or try to.
Okay.
Empowered means it has disadvantage, right?
Not yet. That's what I meant. It's not actually empowered. I forget what it is. Go look it up on my sheet. Heightened or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, heightened.
Alright. So wisdom saving throw.
Yep.
He critically fails. Oh, wait a minute.
It might have magic resistance.
It does not critically fail because it does have magic resistance. So the 11 would be the resistance. But it does fail.
So I will crawl down, keeping the snail in sight, and go and pick up the snail and like bang on the door and tell Melodia and Lux to come out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And explain
Yeah.
this snail is actually a Vrock that I've just polymorphed into this form. In an hour, it is going to change back into a Vrock, which is a kind of vulture-ish demon or devil. So if we kill the snail, it'll just immediately transform back into the demon. So either way, we're going to have to deal with it. But, while it was surprised at my approach, I just wanted to contain it for the moment.
Do you want
we
to
should-
tie it to my arrow and I could just shoot it?
We could do that. That probably will, once it lands, it will probably then the
It'll be
damage.
Very
will
far away at
cause-
that point.
Maybe. I mean,
How-
it's like small, right? So gravity doesn't affect it the same way, It might be totally fine when it lands.
Maybe.
Put it in the bag of holding.
It's true. We could put it in the bag of holding.
Then it'll just suffocate.
Well, do fiends need to breathe?
Generally.
Really?
Yeah, they're not undead. They're alive.
Are they alive? I don't think that they are. Not in the traditional sense.
But then we still don't have to worry about it unless we ever want to get something out of that bag of holding.
Yeah, it's still in there. Unless we try and pull it out.
Right. We've thrown evil creatures in the bag of holding before and just waited and seen what happened.
This is a great this is no longer a bag of, this is a bag of monster disposal.
What they call those things in the Ghostbusters, the things they slide across the floor.
Yeah.
trap.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, it's one of those.
the ghost
That's what I
trap.
said. Yeah, the ghost trap. Yeah.
We should see if we can actually get a bag of devouring in the Emporium next time we go there, just for this circumstance.
Seems to happen a lot, actually.
I see nothing in its stats that says it doesn't need to breathe or eat or anything.
Yeah, but this is Mike's world. So I could see an argument for why a fiend might not have the same physical needs. You know, that I can strangle an
Or-
angel to death feels wrong.
Or we can just drop it in the river of Styx. It might be
Oh, that's-
immune, but I don't know.
Well, you guys are still some ways
Oh, we
away
are?
from
Okay,
the river
okay.
Styx.
Yeah, I know if I got a view of it in the distance on top of Puss Mountain or descending.
Can you arrow to it though?
I don't know. I mean, you have to be one hell of a shot, I think, if it's that far away.
Right.
Since we're going to be here though for at least roughly 8 more hours, I would prefer it not to go get friends and come back. Especially pissed off that I turned it into a snail. The bag of holding sounds like a good way to deal with it. May have repercussions later. Another one is we could just surround it and turn it back and then beat on it. I don't believe they're incredibly tough, but they're demons, so
Didn't
certainly
you just
dangerous.
say? Didn't you say you wanted just to intimidate one?
We could do that too.
If we can confine it some way.
Right. I don't have any sort of magic circle that we could put it in to actively confine it. We would have to beat it within an inch of its life, and then we could interrogate.
Too bad you guys don't have those binding stakes anymore.
We do have the silver branding iron, so we could have that at the ready, so that when it transforms back, we can immediately partially depower it.
Lux, I'm wondering what your thoughts are as you're hearing all of this.
Trying to remember how we negotiated, how I got Belganog's feather.
By being nihilistic as shit.
Right. He was having a bit of an existential crisis about whether or not anything was really had a point. And we were like, hey, why don't you try, like being less evil for a while? Let's see if that works for you. And
And then you were like, yeah, I feel you though, man. What's the point?
Yeah, it's kind of where I'm at.
I mean, I don't know Belganog at all. I don't really know if this is Belganog.
It could be Belganog. It could have been him.
In which case, it would be sad to choke him out in the bag of holding.
Belganog, I summoned you. I'm dead.
Right. His purple oxygen deprived body just falls next to you. but perhaps we could beat him into submission, and get the location of some sort of ferry or bridge or other way across the river. Though it would be
Well-
more or less just the three of us, as I don't think
Yes,
Takash
yeah.
or Blade
Yeah, we
is
only
in
have
any position.
3 of us, and I'm at about half right now, half my power.
So what are you guys wanting to do?
Well, I say we either
Well,
attack it now or bag of holding, personally.
right, Lux, it's your bag of holding. So, what is your thought?
Well, we could just try to reason with it.
That strikes me as unlikely to work.
What is the clearance of the demon grinder? Like the from the bottom of the wheel clearance.
Uh, very little, because these things are made to
Like
as engines of
inches?
destruction. Yeah, inches.
So
So there's you can't go underneath the demon grinder. It's kind of
But a
like the
snail can.
APC from Aliens.
but a snail can, and if that snail would happen to get a lot bigger really quick, I think it would be in a lot of problems. It would be confined, maybe dead, but it would be stuck basically underneath the demon grinder.
Yeah, it would be essentially pinned under the demon grinder.
And I can't imagine it's strong enough to move the demon grinder.
Wow.
Well, I'd be
So I take it back. I could, by spending an action point, I'd add, get access to the magic circle spell. We put the snail in the magic circle. And, well, I guess, let's see, is that concentration? It is not concentration. So we put the snail in the magic circle, and then I dispel the polymorph, and the creature would be trapped inside the circle, but only for an hour. But for that hour, we could question it.
I like it, but I don't know how well it's going to cooperate with us.
It may not.
I don't know if it matters to you guys, but the eyeball has just been like standing there, like just looking back and forth between you as you talk.
I mean, we're standing essentially in the light that's being cast off by my one coin that I cast the light spell on. I would imagine we're not even seeing the eye at this moment. Unless it's like jumping, trying to get our attention.
No, just watching.
I mean, the problem is that extra hour still isn't by us enough for all of us to recover. Not saying I'm
Right.
I've not fought one of these creatures, so I can't speak to what they can do, but it's currently a snail, so I can't imagine it's I think we could be able to handle it if we needed to.
Do we still have that huge coin or whatever?
No. It was destroyed in the ritual to summon the crown.
Oh, right, the one that got taken. Okay.
Just reading the magic circle spell.
I say throw it underneath the demon grinder and dispel, see what happens.
So I assume there's like no hatch underneath the demon grinder? Like
No.
if it, okay, good. And what's the clearance under the demon grinder? You probably
He
said
said,
in
a,
your
yeah, he said
description.
a couple inches.
So
I mean, that
something.
interests me on a different level. Because although I would like to question the creature, and this, presumably might just kill it as it's crushed by the weight of the demon grinder. There is a part of my character that would be like, well, that would be cool to see. Not even like, oh, that would be cool to see happen to a fiend. Just that would be cool to see.
I mean, it's worth noting because it's going to be that slug for another hour. The slug will definitely suffocate.
Right. But then when the slug dies, it immediately transforms. It's not
Into
clear.
a dead Vrock.
Well, it's not really clear. Like, I would probably rule that suffocation means it goes to 0 hit points and then it transforms it immediately into a live rock. But yeah, technically it's not clear what happens if you kill something by suffocation, because it doesn't really say your hit points go to 0. The rules just say you die if you suffocate. And polymorph doesn't specify the difference between those two. But crushed by the demon grinder, how often do you get to see that?
We're fucking sleeping and suddenly it's just what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, the demon grinder's so heavy, I'm not sure you would even feel that much.
Okay. So sorry, I had to look this up. I guess snails and slugs can go 24 plus hours without oxygen. So
There you go.
That's
yeah.
fair.
So it'd be in the bag for an hour. Perfectly fine.
The real question is how big is the Vrock? Because that bag can only hold like 500 pounds or something, I think, right?
That's true.
So the Vrock is considered a large creature.
Oh yeah, I think it might bust right out of that thing.
Yeah, it might be too big. It might I don't know. It
Break the
explodes
bag.
and we're all in the astral plane.
Yeah, explodes and then everything else in there comes out with it.
See, but then that's like the start of a whole new campaign
Yeah,
of
dude.
us in the astral plane.
Yeah,
That's
we're
amazing.
not
Let's
Fernia
fucking go.
anymore, yeah.
Not in the hells. Fuck this place, man. We never grow old in the astral plane.
Suddenly, it's like we're taking part in the war with the Githyanki against the Illithid.
Yeah. It's suddenly it's Baldur's Gate 3.
So I'm going to put the snail under the demon grinder then, unless one of you objects. The intelligence might be useful,
encourage you.
but hard to get, and there's a risk. So let's see. What do I have? Lux, do you still have your adamantine pole?
Yeah.
So I would ask to borrow that so that I can push the snail like really far,
Okay.
like under the demon grinder,
Mm-hmm.
and then I will dismiss polymorph.
Okay. So there is the sound of like a crunch as the demon grinder is suddenly the force of this creature's form pressing up against the demon grinder certainly creates a difficult situation for the creature. But it is the force is enough that those inside the demon grinder do notice that there was that sudden bump. And then you can see like the creature's beak and the glint of its eyes just underneath the demon grinder. If anybody is actually bent down and looking.
I am. I back of my coin on the ground in front of me.
He wants to see this.
Yes.
Um,
So Luck spends down and then says, you need to get him out of there. I know who that is.
Get him out of there.
Yes.
I could throw her into reverse.
Can you polymorph him back?
That would be very hard right now. How would you know of who a Brock is? Do they
Is
even
that-
have separate beings from one another other than just being evil creatures from the outer planes?
I've met this one, unfortunately. Well, I should say unfortunate for them.
So it's some sort of ally?
I would hope.
I would look. I assume it looks like it's alive under there.
it had so
Hmm.
it is alive. It is pinned very badly, to the point where it can't even move its beak enough to try and speak, even if it wanted to. And also, branded one, give me an insight check.
While I do this, I would say I'm a little afraid if we release it, it might seek vengeance against me for this,
Sure, you're
which would
well
be
equipped to handle
entirely
that.
entirely unfair.
No new information from your check.
Well, okay. If you are in communication with the creature, you should tell it to allow this effect. But I'll cast polymorph again, turning it
Yeah,
back into a snail.
I will just.
It wasn't actually that difficult for me to do it, except that I had to part with my other 4th level spell slot, and I didn't want to.
I would try to communicate and just say whatever. If there's some feeling come over you, just let it happen. But I don't know. If you
No,
would
I'll
understand.
transform it back into a snail and then fish with the adamantine pole rather than wait for it to crawl out.
You could have made it like something else, a snake, or a harmless snake like a garter snake.
I'm down at eye level with it. I don't want to. Yeah, maybe a garter snake.
That way you can move.
So, even though Lux has communicated to the thing to allow whatever to happen, it is still attempting to resist the effect. Perhaps because it doesn't really trust the branded one. And so,
But why not?
So it has advantage. DC 17 made it. Well,
Yep.
it doesn't want to be transformed. What now? Should I just throw her in reverse?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
You know,
Not sure that's going to be. I mean, I could technically use a 5th level spell slot and try again. That feels like a real waste. Or just throw her in reverse.
that's probably our best bet.
Wait, which one is the best bet? The reverse or the another?
Probably the
Yes.
reverse because it's just it has resistance and it's just going to keep fighting it.
Okay. So I was sort of expecting you to say, like, well, it's probably worth using a 5th level spell slot, but not hearing that, I'm gonna go back into the demon grinder, get in the driver's seat. And it couldn't have been pushed more than like 10 feet in, even with the pole, and I wouldn't have, been using fingertips on the pole. So I will back it up 10 feet until I think it's out. I guess it's large, so it's kind of tall. I'll back it up like 20 feet, make sure it's out.
So, as you try to back up, the creature is pinned so deeply underneath the demon grinder that it actually is reducing some of the traction on some of the wheels. So you need to give me a vehicle check using wisdom.
Should I confirm?
You have killed the rock.
So you try to give it more gas. And in doing so, you are able to finally get the vehicle moving, but in the process, you hear something underneath the vehicle, metallic crunch.
I'm gonna go sit down in the back. Sure, they'll tell me what happened.
Um, and so,
In case it's alive, I figure probably best for me to stay inside.
meanwhile, the Belganog, once the demon grinder passes over him, it has mangled his body very badly. And he is gasping for air through his broken beak.
But he does need air. Good to know.
It is bleeding profusely. The demon ichor, as most fiends, their blood is some combination of fluids that creates demon ichor. So there's a pool of it along its body, and its limbs are broken pretty badly.
I don't have medicine, so.
I mean, I'm out there with you still, and I do, but I very tentative about this thing. But
Well,
if you
even so,
Yeah,
What-
that doesn't
what-
unwarp your flesh in Mike's games. So
I
it's
mean,
good. It's good that we're inflicting the horrific body horrors this time, though. It feels nice. I mean, granted, it's to an ally, but it's a
Hmm.
nice change of pace from it suffering from the body horror.
Oh, don't worry, he'll get us back.
So Lux, how are you feeling or reacting as you see Belgnag's broken body before you?
I just see Solomon's face.
So Belgnag sees Lux and his full attention is focused on you. And through ragged breaths, you hear Belgnag say, I was coming to find you. I was looking for purpose as giving you my feather was the only time that I felt some meaning in this existence. I wanted to thank you.
There's a lot of irony in that statement. So,
I suppose this is the consequences for finding meaning, for trying to find something that is not endless slaughter.
well, I hope you found that meaning.
So Balganag's broken beak kind of drips open a little bit more as the light leaves his eyes and he ceases.
So I'm gonna try to drag his body from where it is.
He
like,
is
the
a
back.
large creature and incredibly heavy. You're gonna need help with that.
Okay.
I'll help him.
I guess I'll just take it to like the back of the cave and pluck a feather, put in my pack. I don't know if burn the body. Or not. Probably not with the Demonicker.
So Lux, as you're doing this, one thing that kind of strikes you is remembering the conversation that you initially had with Belganog, where he knew that even his own death would not break the cycle. And he spoke of how in death the a fiend is reformed into a new creature that does not remember who it was before, and that it continues with the cycle of meaninglessness and slaughter.
Okay.
I go back into the car and look at branded one and just give him like a thumbs up and go sit down.
Good job, you did it.
He's okay. Sounded like he snapped in two when I backed up.
I just shake my head no, very solemnly, and sit down.
So I guess I would go over. I wasn't really paying attention, but I would go over to Blade, and I would try to rouse him if he's able to become conscious to let him know, because he had all those Demon Ichor collection things that we just killed a Vrock, who's probably plumb full of Demon Ichor, or was full of Demon Ichor.
You can probably just scrape it from underneath the car too.
Right. So there's, what's left of him is outside somewhere. I don't know if he wants to try to collect Demon Ichor or not.
So
For
you
the,
say this and you try and rouse Blade, but he remains deeply unconscious. Or at least he doesn't respond.
I mean, I would just ask that, did anyone pay any attention to how one collects Demon Ichor, or which of these tools he has on him was supposed to be used for it? Because frankly, I was just taken aback by the tiny blind elephant.
As was I.
I wasn't even there.
Yeah, I
I'm
would
still
ask
unconscious.
Lux. I would ask Lux when Lux gets back if she knows. Just point out that Blade wanted to collect Demon Ichor, and he has prime opportunity. But I don't really remember like how he was supposed to do that, and I can't rouse him at the moment. I mean, I realize he was your ally, so if you don't want to collect Ichor, that's fine. I just thought I would give you the opportunity.
Do I remember how to do it? Or I don't remember.
I mean, I can remind you if you as a player don't remember, but
No.
I would say that whether your character remembers is up to you.
I mean, I think she would remember because we went all that whole thing through with the Demon Ichor, and
Yeah, so essentially, um, the collection method described by the elephant, I forget the name, was that you put its blood and guts into this jar that has a pull string. It's a pull string blender, and you blend it all up, and then that's Demon Ichor.
The job's half done. And it was Lulu.
Yes, that's right.
so I guess I would try to collect it for Blade. I mean, Maybe it can help us some way.
Lulu had useful stuff.
So depending on how thorough you are in trying to collect it, you could probably fill 2-3 jars. I'm sure Lulu gave you several jars. I don't remember exactly how much, but
Okay. Yeah.
And when that,
Go ahead.
okay, no, you
I,
go.
I would collect as much as I could.
And when that's done and she's back, at some point I would go over and say, I don't assume that thing was your friend, given what it was, but I am sorry I inadvertently caused the death of your ally or acquaintance or whatever you would call it. I assumed it was hostile, the way any other of its kind would be. And I was trying to free it, but obviously that didn't work out. But I'm sorry in any event. I return to the helm and continue my watch. Next time there's a demon dragging its metal. I guess, did it have something metal on it? I'm not sure what it was dragging along the side of the vehicle.
so Belganog has a large sword, but it didn't seem to be out.
Wonder if it was just dragging its beak along the side of the vehicle.
Well,
But
it
next
has
time
very
I'll know.
sharp claws, so it could have been
Okay.
using
Yeah.
its claws.
Okay. So next time there's a demon in the darkness making creepy noises, I'll know that it's probably an ally and spare it.
Yes, that is the lesson I want you to learn here.
The lesson is whatever the branded one does is wrong.
That's you need to ask when everybody's in the awake at next. It's like, all right, are there any other friendly hostile people
Yeah.
that we need
Give
to
me,
know?
yeah, give me a
Give me a
list of
list.
everyone I shouldn't kill.
There is nobody else. They're all dead.
They're all dead.
That simplifies everything. So I'll continue my watch, and then I don't know who was going next.
I figure I'm up. I'll probably do the next watch.
Right. So, at this point, all of you can assume that your watch goes fine. You're able to complete your long rest. Those of you that drank the potion of excellence now have vitality points again.
Do we get all of them back?
And yeah. So you complete your long rest.
I guess I would go get Belganog's sword.
It is a
I don't know.
large size. It's made for a large size creature.
Right. I'll just drag it into the vehicle.
Okay.
You never know.
We also
Maybe.
might need to check the underneath the vehicle, or I heard the crunches you did too. We might need to check out the underside, or I don't know, the engine or something. Whatever, however this thing runs.
Enter the cabin.
I mean, there's almost not enough clearance for us to get under there, but I guess we could go look at it now that it's, he's no longer directly in the way. See if it looks like there's any damage. I'm sure there's like
wait,
demon nicker.
I mean, there's a little tiny eyeball that might be able to help us take a look down there.
That's true. Although I think it only helps Takash take a look.
Yeah.
And Takash doesn't seem like he's very knowledgeable about machines or anything.
You have way too many wires down here. Just take them all out.
I mean, I could see if something is broken,
Right.
as long as it's obvious. Hey, little guy. Why don't you go have a look?
Tony, I will message you what your little eye sees.
Sure.
Taking a long time to write. You see no damage.
I'm trying to put this in descriptive ways that Takash might
Yep.
understand.
Okay. So yeah, he goes under there. I just kind of stand there, like I'm staring off in the distance. Ah, there is something broken. I've seen this on wagons. The little turny part, it's broken.
In the axle.
Like
I don't think it'll chop any wood.
I think I know what it is, but Melodia would have no idea.
Yeah, it's just some sort of cylinder. It's broken. I don't know if I don't know what that does. I don't think you're supposed to be able to see what I could see. There's a hole right in the metal.
Yeah, we've obviously never looked under there. There's a hole in the middle of the vehicle, you're saying?
Like
And the
over by
cylinder-
that
The
by that
cylinder
tire.
points upward or across.
I don't know.
Well, there
It's like-
seemed to be,
Close to the
a-
side, driver's side wheel. That's all it says. I don't know if it says up or sideways. I assume sideways.
Okay,
But-
so hold on, let me type and clarify.
As my eye comes back and from underneath the. I just pick it up and
But-
crawls into my
Feels like
face.
say it,
Dusty.
walked through the remains of Belganog.
No, yeah, I grab it and go. Clean off your little feet. There we go.
Well, in any event, I don't know that there's any way we can fix anything on this vehicle without taking it to the Wandering Emporium, where there is obviously a mechanic who's worked on similar vehicles.
Oh, is it only the sheet that's broken or that's
No.
torn?
No, it's
It is okay. All right. It is the axle, right?
yeah, this
Yeah,
both are the metal sheet is torn and the axle is broken.
Yeah.
So at least we've learned not to try to use the war machines as a way of crushing people. They're not apparently built for that.
Yeah. Or apparently whatever hit us from underneath that really had something sharp or something, because that's a big sheet of metal. Punctured right through.
Well, we should see how
Maybe it was that.
well
Maybe it was that giant sword.
might have been.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how well it will move. It might just be that one tire does not move. Wheel.
Yep,
That
we
one.
will have to see how well or poorly the vehicle functions. As I said, the only way we have to fix it is to take it to the Wandering Emporium.
What's that?
It is. It's basically a place you go to shop for things, but they also have someone who fixes vehicles like this one. But you get there using magic. So you don't actually have to like walk there if you don't want to.
Interesting. What is this? How you know this magic?
We have access to it. I don't know the specifics of it, but we can use it if we need to.
Quite interesting. Now that
Would
is
be
something that
even-
fascinates me.
It is on the back of a giant creature, so also very dramatic if that matters to you. So I'm gonna put her in reverse and slowly see if we can back out of this cave, or we're just trapped here now.
Yeah, the demon grinder, you hear it grinding, but it doesn't actually move.
Not the good kind of demon grinding.
No,
Okay.
It's not demon grinding, it's just grinding. Grinding. Well, I suppose that answers your question.
Does the Wandering Emporium like have you broken this machine? Have you broken this machine previously?
We've come very well. Sure, I wasn't there for that, so I won't say anything.
All right, so none of us have. Okay.
Lux
Well, I
says,
mean, right,
Oh,
Lux
okay,
was
yeah.
here.
Do they send
they-
someone out to fix it, or how do we get this to them?
we call AAA.
Right. Obviously, Tallow at the Wandering Emporium has dealt with broken vehicles before. We would have to transport the vehicle somewhere nearby. I would guess she has some sort of ability to move these things or drag them along. Or at least perhaps she can get it up and running well enough to get it to her shop. I don't really know where the vehicle would appear relative to her shop, though. Seems like we have to try, though, or
Yes.
we start walking.
Yeah, it seems like those are our two options.
And I don't know if you guys can handle such heat. As you see now, like from under my armor, it's like a breeze blowing up at my, like, just kind of wafting my hair, and you'll see, and so I'm just like pretty nice. Like I'm still sweating, but it's like the air, that's moving air is like moving it. And
If
I'm
Takash was
comfortable.
wearing a kilt, he would be pulling a Marilyn Monroe.
I think we can all be thankful Takash is not wearing a kilt.
You don't know that. Maybe people would love to see that.
So I will take Ewan's token, since I was holding on to it, and use it to transport us to the Wandering Emporium.
So I think that that's a good stopping point for the night. So we will pick up next time at the Wandering Emporium. So I'm gonna say I did not expect that. And I am really sorry that this just seems to be one gut punch after another for Lux. I did not see this as being the trials of Lux similar to Job. But here we are.
It's a good place for her to retire at the Wandering Emporium.
Lux is obviously the ultimate hero of this whole story.
No. Hardly.
The unwanting hero.
A tragic fool, not a hero.
The unwanting hero.
I mean, it all might come down to at the end when we're about to beat Belshalor and Lux switches sides, because what's the point?
I mean, let's also not forget that Lux is maybe one of the more powerful characters with the way that she just beat everybody's ass at one time.
She was Demonicker enhanced.
You're forgetting one thing. I was not playing her. There you go.
Yeah, initially it actually didn't even occur to me that it would be Belganog. I really did assume it was a random Vrock. It was only after it was in snail form that I was like, what is Belganog? I was like, I don't know who Belganog is anyway.
Right.
Yeah. I was hoping to use Belganog as a nice narrative device to help you to the next step, but here we are.
Yeah. Caught in the trappings of your own making.
Yeah. Yeah. Here I am.
I mean, but
finally not
you know.
surprised by the fact that you guys have just forced me to tear up my pages of notes.
But look, we get a nice little shopping episode next time. And we just got 2 jars of Demonicker. So how convenient we can deliver them to Lulu right away. They're still fresh.
Yeah.
Just have to remember. We just have to remember to tell Dustin that we got him 2 jars of Demon Ichor when we pulped Belganog.
Hmm.
I just like the idea of like Lux is out there like just like standing over the body like god damn it, what the fuck? And then Brandon one's like, hey, let's get some
Well-
demon ichor off this guy.
Well, I mean, well, I mean, I'm practical that way.
Hey, sorry. We should get some demon ichor off this guy. By the way.
I mean, he was still a demon, so like, I'm more just like, sorry, like is probably not even the right word. Like, I understand it is disappointing to lose this potential ally is closer to correct. Like, I would be like, I get that she has lost her son. I picked that up along the way. Ewan just died, who had also been with her for a while on this adventure. And now she loses this ally who I, gather was from some period of time before I joined up with the group. So she has lost a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And that is not even like, I know there was also Lacease apparently was like a companion of yours at some point.
Yeah, but
some
she sort of
guy-
like vanished.
Right. Some guy named Pielius was with you. Dr. Sheev was with you.
Him.
Who? Tem.
Tim,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Tim for a brief moment too, yeah.
Yep, I got Tim's book. I got
there was a
Tim's book,
Pro-
Pielius' short bow. Now I have 2 Belganog feathers. I got Solomon's ashes and Ewan's dust.
Yeah.
Yeah, my character is gonna retire. I think she's
and
pretty much
there's
had
also
enough.
like Project Israel,
She's good.
who vanished one day.
Yeah, Dr. Sheev.
There was nothing
There
left of
was-
him. There was literally
Right.
nothing left of him.
Right.
But then, there was Brendan's second character.
Yeah, Project Israel.
Yeah, we left him somewhere.
Yeah,
Right.
Alyssa too just kind of got lost.
Yeah.
Right. But Alyssa was popping out of existence already. So periodically she would disappear, taken
Mhm.
into the other realm.
Mountain
Project
babies.
Israel. Project Israel, probably we just forgot and like left behind one day. We just like home aloned him. And he's off having his own adventures. Because I don't think he died.
He was the one that empowered Trebek to make his first kill.
Was that Project Ezreal?
Wasn't it? I'm pretty sure it was.
No, I'm pretty sure
Boiled
that
his
was.
blood?
I thought that was Dr. Sheev.
Oh
didn't
no,
get-
that was Project
was
Ezreal.
Project Ezreal.
Because Dr. Sheev died on the
On the
bridge,
Bridge.
which was well
That was
before you guys
before, I
had made
guess.
it to the Citadel.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
Okay, that makes sense.
well, fun game, you guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I was hoping this would be a lighter session.
I mean, sort of had a combat there at the end. Sort
Yeah.
of. Crippled our main form of transportation in the process. Sadly, there were a lot of ways to save Belganog that like are all paths not taken.
Mhm.
Like if we had just decided like let's transform him back and then like surround him Office Space style and just beat him to death, then we would have realized pretty quickly. Oh wait,
All right. Well, see everyone in 2 weeks.
Yep.
All right.
See you
Bye.
guys.